in lieu of the opening week in the NBA season, I thought it would be a great idea to kind of bring forth a new style of video, basically breaking down the entertainment industry and how everything is connected. The entertainment industry is ran by a vast amount of entities, organizations, people, structures, and also religions, belief systems. And one of the ways that the entertainment industry is used is not only to entertain us and distract us, but also to socially engineer society. It's not the only way, but it's one of their various ways that they do so, and one of their most impactful ways. And how they do that is creating these athletes that inspire people and motivate them to be better in life, and then use them in order to make other people think in such a way, because people unfortunately worship these people. So this is how they're able to have power over society, or one of the many ways. So someone like Jaylen Brown, very interesting character that they've created. He's someone I would say is controlled opposition, and I'm gonna go further into what that is as we go into this video. But just overall, you could see in this past season him winning an NBA championship, becoming finals MVP. He was so-called blackballed from the Olympics, but he had 3 of his teammates playing on the team. So it's just interesting to see how they've created this character, looking at him from his rookie year all the way up till now, who he's been, what he's represented and not represented, or chosen not to represent, into the person that he's now representing. So it's going to be interesting. First off, I want to say this is definitely an influenced video from Chronicles of Judah. His style of videos are definitely missed by many people, and I thought, why not try to bring that style back, obviously with my own spin. But you can never outdo the originator anyway, so hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it. So just a little background on Jaylen Brown. First off, I do believe he's an MK Ultra athlete. MK Ultra, if you don't know, is an experiment conducted by the CIA around the 1950s to the 1960s, where they used a myriad of techniques in order to alter human behavior. This could be drugs, chemicals. I'm sure hypnosis was in one. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can alter human behavior, and I'm sure they went through all of them. Now, how do I believe this, or what do I have to suffice? Well, let me just give you a little information. So Jaylen Brown wears the number 7. You have to understand that numbers are codes, okay? The words and the numbers that these people use are all coded. There's a reason why when you put letters together, it's called spelling, because there are spiritual, esoteric significance to everything you say, to everything that the languages that we've developed. There is a lot of spiritual significance even to the sound of a word. So on the light side, biblically, you could be talking about the 7 qualities of the Holy Spirit. You could talk about how it took 7 days for the world to be created. And then on the dark side, you could talk about how the number 7 could be represented by the triangle and the square, because they come together to form the pyramid in Freemasonry. You could talk about how they need 7 brothers in order to open a lodge. So, you know, there's a lot of significance numerologically when you talk about these athletes, these entertainers, and that's why you see a lot of death surrounding them, and it's always within a certain time period. It's very important to look at the calendar and to understand the moon phases, and because these things are all significant to them, because the industry is tied to esoteric dark teachings in the mystery schools of Babylon. This is why we have to go into this, because you've got to look at the numbers, you've got to look at the words, you've got to look at the events and things lining up, because it's all significant, it all connects, and it's all made for us to think in a certain way. So this is why these things are significant. But as I was saying, Jaylen Brown wears the number 7, and as I go more into the gematria and the words and the significant things around Jaylen Brown, you're gonna see how all of these things are connected, and it's gonna be connected to one number that is pretty much undeniable, which really rules this entire world as of now.
Jaylen Brown, it's not so much that he's underrated. It's that he's just not liked because of his, quote, "I am better than you" attitude. He knows it. It's the same reason he is not as marketable as he should be. That's what an NBA source just sent me. I don't know that to be the case. I like Jaylen Brown. I know a lot of people.
So as you've just heard, Stephen A. Smith, who is probably the most popular sports analyst of today, if not in the world, has just broke down, or not really broke down, but just revealed a text that he received from an NBA source pertaining to Jaylen Brown. And of course, this source is unnamed. We don't know who it is, but we know that it's an NBA source. And why would he feel the need to announce it right then and there? I mean, I'm sure that he receives texts from all sorts of athletes, sources, whichever, from time to time on his show, throughout the show, live, but probably never reveals them or sees any point in revealing them at that moment. So why did he feel like he needed to reveal that now? And that's what leads me to believe that Jaylen Brown is supposedly this martyr-controlled opposition. What is controlled opposition? It's basically a person that is controlled to be opposed to something. So he is acting as the contrarian to the industry, to the powers that be, to the so-called they. If you ever heard DJ Khaled talk about they don't want you to win. They don't want you to do this and that. He is supposed to be this controlled opposition to whoever they is, right? Yet he's still in the NBA, yet he's still able to have endorsements, yet he's still able to become an NBA champion and not be blackballed from the NBA, right? But he's no longer a Nike athlete, right? He's no longer, as long as he's not a Nike athlete, he can no longer represent the USA and play in the Olympics, right? To what point is he actually opposition, and who is he opposing? We will never know. And this is what this entire interview that I'm about to show you is about, and this is why I believe he's controlled opposition. Similarly to Kyrie Irving, who was actually taken out of the league because of his stances on the vaccine, and then I believe about Hebrews and Black Israelites. It just seems very interesting how these guys are able to take these stances now, because society is starting to wake up. Society is starting to understand what's actually happening. So when I say controlled opposition, it's because they understand a belief system that has been put upon the people, and now they're trying to counteract it by having their subjects actually attach themselves to it, and then they'll come up with the consequences later, i.e. he can't be a Nike athlete, he can't participate in the Olympics. And this is what actually ends up social engineering society, because then people that do want to participate in the Olympics, do want to be Nike athletes, will not take these same approaches, these same ideals, and bring them to the forefront. So this is how you slowly condition people to think in a certain way, by using what people actually believe against them. And that's why I call Jaylen Brown controlled opposition. But we're going to go deeper into detail.
Like Jaylen Brown. When we take this example, let me use this example that you're talking about, with what I said was text to me about you. And by the way, others had said it as well. I wasn't talking about how I feel. You and I have been cool for years. You've always been good to me. What I was trying to say was, this brother is great. He's great on the basketball court. He's great off the basketball court. He's an individual of very high integrity, highly educated.
By the way, I think it's a dead giveaway when the industry's handlers, and I do think Stephen A is a handler and a puppet in some type of way, he's able to trigger these athletes in ways that other people are not allowed to. Especially with this type of story, I think that he's grown in his level. But nonetheless, I think that it's a dead giveaway when they speak on how knowledgeable this athlete or this music artist or whatever this entertainer is, meaning that they know much more than the average athlete or the average music entertainer. Someone like Prince, someone like Michael Jackson, Kyrie Irving, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tom Brady. Someone that they always talk about how cerebral they are. Triple H in the wrestling industry, right? The Game, the cerebral assassin, right? I feel like these guys are giving away that these people are much more knowledgeable about the background, the inner workings of the industry, and how much more in the craft they actually are. If you were to ask me, I would say that Jaylen Brown is a Luciferian. He may not know it. He may be unwilling. It may just be an alter of his person. And I'm going to go deeper into that. As I told you previously with the gematria, you're going to see how this all connects.
Who most people that you encounter considers you nothing short of brilliant. And yet, these opportunities that clearly you are deserving of and should be afforded to you was not. And so when I brought that up, I literally get a text in the middle of the show. And immediately after the show, I got 3 separate phone calls. And they were like, yo, this guy is not liked by some of the powers that be because he's smart, because he's outspoken, because he's principled and he's defiant and he's not easily manipulated. These are things that are costing him.
I really wanted to address them directly, but I feel like since this all kind of happened on your platform, I wanted to send a message to you, to them.
Right.
Because you only the person that knows who the source is. And I basically wanted to say to them that I think it's cowardice. I think historically unnamed sources have attacked some of our greats. And we are not responsible for what they lack in design.
I think it's very interesting that Jaylen Brown used the word design as if he's addressing an entire system or some type of plan against him, right? I think it's very interesting he used that word instead of using lack of character or lack of thought process. He said lack of design. And you know, it also goes deeper into the makeup of people, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is the pinnacle of creation. We are the most powerful creation that there is on this planet Earth as of now. And you know, there's a lot of different genetic makeups that currently dwell on the planet, and some are regressive and some have progressive traits or more regressive traits. Nonetheless, we are the people of the book according to the curses of Deuteronomy. And for him to use the word of design, it's kind of funny because he's kind of addressing more than one thing. But just on a surface level, right, there is an agenda here. The agenda, I believe, is to make Jaylen Brown a martyr for whatever cause or belief he may have in the future against this industry that he will not address or will not name. Because if you look more so into the interview, he does actually think he has an idea of who this person, entity, system, or whatever is. But because they haven't revealed themselves, he can't assume who they are. And this is the whole Hegelian dialectic going on right in front of you in real time. The agenda is to make Jaylen Brown a martyr. He is the good guy. The problem is the system, and they're oppressing him by blackballing him from Nike, blackballing him from Team USA. The solution is actually, since we're in the future, we know he's actually been invited to play for Team USA in 2028, and apparently there was no conspiracy against him. So now he's being made to look like the hero because of that solution. But notice, they created the problem, they created the solution, but now someone's way of thinking was actually shifted, whether that's Jaylen Brown, whether that's a Jaylen Brown fan, or just an NBA fan in general. And that's how you create and social engineer society.
Frankly, they can call all their buddies, they pals, and you know, friends from all over the world, all the unnamed sources, and they can shove it where they got it from. Whether they think I'm marketable or not, I walk with God. I'm gonna be me and stand with my community in this life and the next, and that's my journalistic integrity.
So at the end there, if you couldn't hear, he said that was his journalistic integrity, basically meaning that's who he's standing with, God and his community. But who is his God and who are his community? Well, just to give you a little bit more, now we're gonna dive deeper into Jaylen Brown. I got some gematria here, so I'm gonna show you some numbers, and I'm gonna show you just a little bit of what Jaylen Brown's been doing for his so-called activism outside of the NBA.
Justice! Now! Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
It's a peaceful protest. We walking, and that's it. Raising awareness. Some of the injustice that we've been seeing is not okay. And as a young person, you gotta listen to our perspective. Our voices need to be heard.
So this is Jaylen Brown at a Black Lives Matter protest. He says it's peaceful. I'm liable to believe him. Nonetheless, he's there and he's, portraying these ideals and has no idea about the origin. And I guess this was in the past, so how could you have known, right? But I mean, if you know anything about these organizations, they're always taking money, and it's usually just a front organization. A lot of these athletes, like LeBron James Foundation, or these things are Ponzi schemes so that you can clean money. They're tax write-offs. But nonetheless, back on subject, Black Lives Matter was formed by 3 black women, 2 of which were a lesbian couple. And if you looked on their mission statement at the time where they were at their prime, in the mission statement, it basically is saying, and I'm paraphrasing, but it did say this, regardless of my paraphrasing, it was putting the back burner on black cisgendered males, basically straight black men, and bringing the forefront to the lesbian, bisexual, transgender, gay, queer community that are black. So basically doing exactly what Obama did, putting black people on the back burner, straight black people, and putting the gays on the forefront. And they eventually had to resign, or a few of them. I don't know if every one of them resigned, but I know the couple resigned because they were buying these extravagant houses across the world using the donation funds, because it's a front organization. And there have been allegations of them being funded by George Soros, who is a Hungarian Jew philanthropist. So you can look into that, but you're not going to find anything on it because the internet has scrapped anything that had anything to do with George Soros' foundations having anything to do with those type of organizations. However, he does fund anti-fascist, not Antifa, but anti-fascist organizations, as well as black reform organizations. So although he's funding those, he didn't fund Black Lives Matter or Antifa. That's kind of crazy, but okay. Nonetheless, Jaylen Brown is outside supporting these things, has probably no idea of what's going on. And of course, people gravitate towards that and they find that to be something that's admirable. And this is how you get people under the program, under the celebrity, under the light, under the idol worship that is Jaylen Brown. And then this is how you can also socially engineer society by having him go through a false flag operation, like being blackballed from the Olympics, being blackballed from Nike, and having people now think a certain way. So lastly, looking at the gematria of Jaylen Brown, right? Just looking at these 6 words, because I'm telling you, I had quite a list of words and numbers here, but I wanted to not head tap you too crazy and kind of get the point across. So let me just go into it. Looking at these 6 words, right? And first off, let me just say, I do believe in irony. I don't believe in coincidences. Is there a difference? There definitely is. Irony is something that happens to line up with something else without any type of patterns. Coincidences usually have some type of events that have lined up that you can't duplicate to create certain events, and that's where the numerology comes into play. So looking at any of these words, right, if you were to just add up all the numbers in that one row, you would get a specific number. Now whatever number that you get, those digits, add them together and you get 9. Now the significance of the number 9, right, just looking at numerology in a general sense, number 9 is supposed to signify experience and a new phase, right? Looking at Jaylen Brown on the surface level in his career, he's experienced quite a bit as a basketball player, now becoming an NBA champion, a finals MVP, and moving on to a new phase where he's now gonna be like a veteran, top level talent in the league, trying to do it again, right? Which is a new phase. Obviously, when a player wins a title, they're completely different as a player, much more relaxed, much better as a player, just in general, role player, star player, whatever the case may be, even coaches. But then you go on a deeper esoteric level, looking at the number 9. I was looking up just the number 9 in different Freemasonry rites and fraternal orders, and it's quite actually the same looking at the ninth degree of the Scottish Rite, it signifies enlightenment, and it signifies now giving yourself to the people, which is similar to what he was doing with his protest, now being a martyr against Nike and not having his contract and having to start fresh on his own, and then losing the ability or the access to the Team USA team to play in the Olympics. So I think it's pretty interesting how those things line up. Now, am I saying that Jaylen Brown is a Freemason member or a Scottish Rite fraternal brother? I mean, we really don't know. We'll have to wait and see, because they will tell you at some point if they are. But for me to sit here and act like these numbers don't mean something to me or don't signify something would be a lie. So I'll leave it up to you. You know, everybody thinks you're crazy until you're not. So it is what it is. But I hope you guys enjoyed this extensive breakdown. I'm going to be trying to bring more of these. I'm not going to say that this is going to be something I'm going to be doing often, because it does include a lot of editing and sometimes it gets annoying. So we'll see. But I thank you guys for watching. I thought I'd do this because the NBA season is opening up, and you know, sports, art, it's all relative to life, especially because everything is connected. So yep, that's about it. I appreciate you guys watching. Y'all stay safe out there.